I forgot my hat. Good evening, everyone. It's Sunday night. We got an awesome show for you guys tonight to talk about the Changeling Kickstarter going on now. If you guys don't know about it, it is in the description of the video. There's a link to Ayedee Studios. There's a link to Ayedee Studios' website, as well as the Kickstarter. So if you haven't gotten in on it, go check it out because it is awesome. Great variant artist. But without further ado, I'll quit talking about it, and we'll bring out the real people in charge of this awesome project.
Oh, wait, that's
bright light.
Oh man, how you guys doing?
Doing good. How are you doing?
Doing fantastic. Got a little libation here that might have been part of that there. Bear with me.
So, pretty excited about the Kickstarter. You guys funded right away, and you guys are still kicking butt into the project. So that's got to be a good feeling.
Absolutely. We actually just unlocked probably my. I'm most excited about this. Like today, we unlocked our stretch goal for our die cut Dan Mendoza kebab stickers, and they're called kebab for a reason. If you look at the picture there, the Changeling uses her tail to decapitate a few fellas, and she's known to eat them. So, you know, it makes it a fun thing for the sticker there for the connoisseur. What am I trying to say here? A lot of blood and guts with Dan Mendoza in die cut sticker format. It's our first time actually offering like a die cut sticker. That's probably why I'm most excited about it. So,
and it's Dan Mendoza. Who couldn't be more excited about that, right?
Indeed, he's his cover has been kicking ass on the campaign. You know, his, and then we have quite a few others that have been doing quite well, including Anastasia over here. So it's been a fun one so far. We got a lot of stellar talent on this campaign. So luckily, people are grabbing these books, and they'll be taking them home once we get them printed and out into the mail stream.
So, how many variant covers do you guys have for this book?
It's about 10.
So for the main edition, we have 7. And then we also are offering a pinup book. We have 2 pinup books, actually. One's pinups. The other one's called close-ups. The pinups book features Kara Nicole, and the close-ups edition actually features your favorite, Stef Wilson, in his debut Changeling cover, which he's excited about, and I'm excited about, and I'm sure everybody else is excited about too.
Yeah, everybody loves the Jersey Circler. I mean, he just gets around on all these awesome covers.
That's the first time I've heard a Jersey Circler used as a nickname for him. Is that because everything he draws happens to be, of the circular variety?
Yeah, so there was just a fun post we had, I guess, about a month ago with Comic Unity Online Con. So we were always just hard hitting each other, just cracking jokes at each other, because that's what the online con's all about. We have Toddler Fight Club. Everybody's getting tased by me, guest relations. You got Luis Torres parking in the wrong spot. He was double parked in CB Zane's spot. So I had to hit him with the taser and knock him down. And then we towed his Hyundai. So somehow in one of the posts that got brought up, I ended up bringing Stef Wilson in there, and I called him the Jersey Circler. And CB Zane and everybody just loved it. And so now it's stuck. So that's his new nickname from now on. We call him the Jersey Circler.
I think by his own admission here, I'm just going to call him a hack.
That's right.
Here in the comments. He's a Jersey hack. Ha! Well, that doesn't sound anywhere near as cool as the Jersey Circler. That kind of sounds almost serial killer-esque. So
it does. It's so awesome. I love it. So I mean, people hear the Jersey Circler, they don't know whether to be scared or if it's a good thing, and that's what people like, mystery.
You can't be scared by his covers, though. I mean, he draws the people in, with and what am I trying to say here? Help me out here.
Sweet.
He's got circles. You know, he's got circles.
Nice.
He's got circles. I mean, and we know he's got circles. So I mean, we've got this awesome cosplay that he did with
Oh
Ruben
man,
Rosas.
I gotta say, he fills out that outfit.
Yep. It's a pro move.
And that Ruben guy, where's this Ruben fella at? I haven't seen him in a while. I miss him. He was a temporary Arizona transplant for a while, and then he moved to California. And then I miss that guy. I haven't heard from him in a while, but I see him
miss
doing a
him
bunch
too.
of kicking ass. So good for him.
Yeah, I don't know. He's been really quiet lately. I don't think I've heard from him or Simeon in quite a while. I thought about tagging him the other day, although I did see Simeon in Alfred's feed the other day. So
Alfred and Kara, gotta love them folks. Saw them sharing this earlier too.
It's super awesome.
So now is this book an all new series? Sorry, I'm just like coming into your guys's books kind of later on. I only came across your guys' work, I guess, about a year ago.
So the Hell Awaits trade that this campaign is for. Try not to burp on camera.
That's okay.
Oh, there we go. All right. It collects issues 4, 5, and 6 of the Changeling.
Okay.
It's been kind of a rough year just with trying to get issue 6 out. Had a little bit of a slight cancer bug. Got over that, and then once I did that, got that campaign fulfilled. Every 3 issues, I'm putting out a trade of the story. So now that I finally had that one out, this was the natural next campaign / progression, whatever you want to call it. So this one right here is a 76-page trade paperback. It's got issues 4, 5, and 6. And in the campaign 2, we're also offering issues 1, 2, and 3 in a deluxe edition, because the very first campaign that we actually put out on Kickstarter was a collection of issues 1, 2, and 3. So this right here is just kind of matching like the next book, in the series. Looks good on your shelf. Got the number 2 next to it, so you can have 1 and you can have number 2, and then have all 6 issues of the Changeling. Hopefully that makes sense. Trying to explain that kind of. I don't know. I suck at it.
No, it totally makes sense. And I apologize if I'm not looking directly at you guys. I'm still trying to share this out because Facebook has taken the share button away, and I have to share it 1 page at a time. So I apologize if it seems like I'm not paying attention to you guys. I totally am.
Well, I wouldn't blame you. I don't have anything important to say anyway. But I'm just kidding. But for Facebook, here's going back to my message. Here's our official message for Facebook. Just want to throw this out here. Everything that you do for all of us independent artists trying to make a living and trying to make a buck, we appreciate you, and everything that you do to limit our abilities to do what we do. We will rise up, we will overcome, and we will fight you to the very end.
And that's what I'm talking about, man. We're trying to put positivity. We're trying to put positive messages, positive material, stuff to take people's minds off of everyday life and do something positive for the community. And Facebook just kicks us down. It seems like all they like to do is circulate, just the bad in the world and all the negativity. And, it's just we're trying to break through it, and we'll win in the end.
Yeah, I mean, like playing devil's advocate, they change algorithms and all that jazz around all the time. They do stuff that like wouldn't normally flag something before and then flag something again. Like as being a giant business model handling an incredible amount of data, I can't fault them for when bullshit happens. But at the same time, it does suck when the bullshit happens to you and affects you directly because, again, you're trying to make a living, you're trying to make a buck, you're trying to get the word out there, and anything that kind of limits that, it's frustrating. But again, we rise up, we overcome. So
must maintain our good.
I see all these people talking about beating cancer's bitch. I'm reading the comments here.
Beat that cancer, bitch.
Kicking cancer's ass one step at a time. I kicked all that cancer's ass all the steps all the time.
Pictures, cancer, bitch.
I don't know. Cancer is kind of coming back for round 2 right now, though, with the after effects. But we're getting over it. Woo! Plugging along.
Yep.
See, this guy is more interested in sharing this and getting this out in the world.
Nope, I'm done now. I was just closing out the-
I'm trying to make laughter happen here. Smiles.
Oh, you're good. You can razz me all you want. I'm good. I got to deal with Steph on a 24/7 basis because I harass him all week, and so he, twice a week he only gets a chance to razz back at me usually. So he gets in there and takes care of it for me.
One thing I kind of regret is that I knew like signing Stef on for a Changeling cover. I knew like that'd be a month of like him just doing his promo magic, whatever it is that he does. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna keep up with that motherfucker. I'm gonna make sure like gift for gift, I'm gonna keep up with this guy. And yeah, he is undefeated in that world there. That guy can
he definitely
keep
is.
coming for as long as he wants to.
You'll get used to
Stef,
Oh my God, Stef almost made me spit out my drink.
But I do have to say, kind of talking back about the whole cancer thing. Whenever and back in January, when I found out that I might have cancer, I found out 3 weeks ago. Finally, after 9 months, and with the COVID shutdown putting everything behind, they finally found out that the mass is not cancerous. So thank God for that. I don't have cancer. But I do have to say. Though, watching you, I found your work probably about 2 months before you ended up having the cancer diagnosis. So following your journey, before me finding out my thing and seeing you fight through it and push through and to start doing your own printing, and you get these new machines in and you're printing stuff and you're still working on books and you're still rocking stuff. That was a huge inspiration to me, and I think it's a huge inspiration for others to be able to see, someone pushing through. And I know it's hard. It's not easy dealing with the mentality and the depression and the anxiety and stuff because, I lived that world. Even though I didn't have it, I was convinced that I did from them, and I can kind of, feel, I don't want to say exactly like you did because, maybe having it is different from having it. So,
well, still having the worry of having it, I imagine could be just as bad. Like everybody's journey in that regard is different. You can't really compare one to another, even with the exact same diagnosis. People handle it differently. There's different life circumstances. For me, I just have to say I'm incredibly lucky. Like, I met Anastasia literally like not long after my diagnosis, and I guarantee you that I probably wouldn't have been able to do any of the things I've done if it wasn't for her. I mean, like, I'm gonna put it out there. I don't know if it's the alcohol talking, but I'm a needy bitch. I'm gonna be completely honest. My body just sucks right now. Like even after cancer, like I'm still like hobbling around. Like my legs don't work too well. There's just shit that mentally isn't quite up to par. But she's been part of all of that throughout when it was worse to where it is now. So like for me, work is work. You go in, you do what you do. And she actually works with me at the print shop. And we print all the books that more than likely everybody that is watching the show probably collects. I guarantee that.
Oh,
so
cry.
Oh, shut up, Stef. Trying to give a monologue here. But really, like, none of this would have been even able to happen if it wasn't for her, because she kept me going. She picked up where I was faltering, and I gotta say, like, pimping ain't easy, printing ain't easy. I'm gonna throw that out there. And she's been able to help me get through it all. Like, I literally would go out from work, go to chemo, and then come back to work right after chemo, and then work. And see, my job, like a lot of it is layout, graphic design, and all that stuff, just making sure everything's ready to get put on the printer. I know that there's other people out there that do the same shit where they go to chemo and have to go back to work, but their work might be a more strenuous job than what I've had to put up with. So with all the shit that I've been through, I can definitely say that I've been really lucky to have gone through it, because the people that I've had behind me, the support I've had from the comic community, the support I've had from my family, my friends, like from everybody, it made it almost like I just had a cold for 9 months, And technically it started off that way because I had pneumonia. And if I didn't get that case of pneumonia and then go to the doctor, go to the ER and all that shit, I probably wouldn't have even found out about my cancer diagnosis. So I even went to like concerts and shit, which I probably shouldn't have in hindsight, but I didn't know what I had going on at the time. I just thought, I have a cough, I just suck. But yeah, like it's been a road, it's been a long journey, and luckily the worst part's over. Right now it's just me having to be a big boy, pull my pants up, and kind of work through all the hard shit right now, and like post-cancer, and get through it, and really just in between all of that, keep making comics, keep entertaining the masses, and doing whatever. For the 5 people that watch me and support me, I appreciate you.
Well, we appreciate it, and like I said, it's an inspiration for others out there to see somebody pushing through and working through. So, speaking of the you guys running the printer, you do print other people's projects as well, right?
Absolutely. I'm lucky to have my hand in quite a few different people's work. I'll say definitely Stef Wilson's artwork comes across my table quite a bit from many different people. And I print all those covers, and they all go out to wherever they need to go. If you've seen probably the most successful Kickstarter campaigns from Brian Polito, it's us. We print that. And we don't print all of it, but we print our portion of it. And usually it's the lion's share of it. Anything that has a stitch in it, that's usually us. Murat Michaels, we print for that guy. We print for quite a few other established talent. One recent one that we've had, Fifinity, we print for them. We print for a lot of like the major players, but at the same time, like the guy or girl that's coming up. There's one girl in particular that I've been really excited about getting her project out. It's like 40 books. She was brought to us. I'm sure you're familiar with Jay Photos. He worked on a Lock and Key, which is now a Netflix property. He teaches at a college not too far from our work, and he brought in one of his graduating students. She brought in a project, and it's like Mickey Mouse meets Resident Evil would be the best way to explain it. And we're printing that project. And it's like, it's 40 books. It's her first time getting something out there, her first time getting her feet wet in the business. So like those kind of people, like in addition to like, I can name drop all day who we print for, but we also love doing the projects for like those people doing their first time comic books, getting it out there in the world, selling it, getting part of the business, and then hopefully growing. And I'm happy to be a part of that, whatever small way that I am. Because you never see printers really ever credited. Like you see like the business name or whatever sometimes, but not always. And I can give a shit about that. It's fine. But like for me, it's really awesome just to see the up and coming talent and to see the veterans, like people that I've read as a child, and how I'm printing their shit. It's nuts, like just that dichotomy there in our clientele. So yeah, we print for everybody. It's probably the long story short there.
So how do people get a hold of you? Like say somebody that's an indie comic book creator, how would they get a hold of you? Would that be at the website for Ayedee Studios or?
It wouldn't be through Ayedee Studio. It would be through our printing company. It's called Artist Express,
Okay.
artistexpress.net. We don't have a .com because, fuck paying like $2,500 for that domain. Whoever has it in Korea or whatever can keep it. Merry Christmas. We'll keep the .net. So they can check out our pricing and everything there. They can email us at orders@artistexpress.net if they have a question, want to get started. And just like the Hair Club for Men, I'm not just the president, I'm also a client. So, yeah. So anytime you see any Changeling product, I personally printed that with these bare hands. And hers too.
Yep.
So you said it was artistexpress.net. Yep, I found it.
That's us. I even built that website. So apologies in advance.
That's all right. I was just trying to pull it up so I could copy the link into the video for anybody, because there'll be a lot of people that'll go back and watch this, and I want them to be able to pull the website up instead of trying to guess what it is.
Yeah, and Anastasia's been a much bigger role lately. She's actually been finally taking customer orders and doing the interface with them, and so either me or her, we're your printing people. We'll make your comic books happen. The space race. The space makes.
The only thing that Steph is going to print in a print shop is going to be round coasters. I can just see it now. It'll just be a boob. You get your freaking 150 stack of coasters for your restaurant. It's just round boob.
Steph, I gotta tell you though, dude, our print size is up to 13 by 19, so I don't think your boobs are gonna completely fit on our sheets, buddy. We need multiple sheets for Steph. It's always been a challenge. We can't fit his artwork into one comic book without scaling it down 95%.
Yeah. Buy them instead.
Oh my god. It didn't work because I don't have. Well, I do have boobs, but not. I don't have Stef Wilson boobs.
So I'm going to share screen this real quick so we can talk about the Kickstarter. Give me just a second to bring it up. I've got it in the background.
Man, I'm almost out of boobs.
Is it going to share? There we go.
Oh boy. I want to follow along with you there. It looks like somebody dropped off.
Yep.
Ooh, who that person?
Oh, well, I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news.
That's all right. It's just we have a lot of baller tiers on there, and one of them probably got in on that Hell Witch stuff. Because we picked a great time. We're gonna go head to head with Polito on the Kickstarter. Yeah, there's no way you're winning that one.
Yeah, it happens.
And it totally does. I think honestly, since we've launched this campaign, this time around, I probably had far fewer, cancellations than I've had in previous campaigns. It's just part of the business. It's all good. I'm still gonna honor that die cut sticker, though, guys. You heard it here first.
We still made that goal, but someone fit in. Yeah, for just it's okay.
Steph, don't talk shit about compacts. I have one of those. It's got an Athlon XP Thunderbird 1700 in it. It's got 2 gigs of DDR1 RAM. So you be nice.
I take it Steph's taking hits on my computer again. So here we go. Here's the stretch goals. So you guys have unlocked the Delaney 6x9 commemorative print.
That's me.
Yep. And the Trifold Changeling Luciferia.
Yep. So what that is there, usually when you see any character bios, you always see kind of like the 3/4 turn. This right here is one drawn out like that with stats and stuff, and it's made into a trifold brochure. And that was actually Anastasia's idea.
I thought it would be fun. That would get to learn more about the character.
How many campaigns do you know that have one of those? That's thanks to you.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. And then there's the sticker you were talking about earlier, your first ever die cut sticker.
First ever. We've done I printed stickers like on a desktop before, but it's literally like it's a lotto ticket, where you scratch it and it peels apart. This one, we're
Yeah.
going to go on this one, and this will be to the masses. So we're very excited to finally have one of these for everybody.
Yeah.
The cool thing is that with the amount of backers we have versus the amount we have to buy to make it cost effective, we'll have plenty for everybody. Woo!
So,
And I see next you guys have an ash can. Now that's awesome. Not a lot of comic book creators do the ash cans like they used to, and I always love seeing that being part of the tier because I love ash cans. Like, don't even get me started. I probably have like just alone for Vampirella probably a couple hundred. I don't even want to. That's probably underestimating it, but I love ash cans. Anytime I see them, I pick them up.
If you have those in ash can format, they're good for you. I'm sure those weren't very easy to come by over time. What we were thinking for ours is going to look more like Maximum Rock and Roll meets like Razor Cake. It's like since they're punk rock, or not punk rock, they're punk rock. They're rock and roll themed covers. It's basically all the Rock and Roller edition covers that I've done over time for the Changeling. It's going to be all them collected in like a gritty, dingy, kind of punk rock-esque zine format, 8.5 by 5.5, like you see usually with ash cans with the colored paper, all black and white. And it'll be kind of grunged up and done up, where it kind of looks like it's been war weary. It's been handed out at like a punk show or something like that. We're doing something really cool with the aesthetic with it. So I'm hoping that we hit that 10,000 before we dip out of the campaign less than 2 weeks from now.
mm-hmm.
And real quick, Ed had a question about the sketch card info.
Mm-hmm.
We definitely do print sketch cards, so hit me up if you are interested in that. We can definitely do those for you. Whatever you want to do. We do 2-sided, 1-sided. Our stock's used by the best in the biz, so hit us up for that if you want to get that.
And so I know Ed. I've known Ed for a couple of years now. He just drew live for the first time a month ago on my show. Finally, after 2 years of trying to get him to do it, but he's got some pretty good work with Ed's Artworks as his Facebook page. But yeah, definitely check him out, Ed. If let me know if you're still here. If not, I'll message you later. So please comment if you're still here, and I will send that.
We actually have our card pricing and everything on there as well too. So if you wanted to get blanks, we do those. If you wanted to get printed trading cards, we do those as well. So either way you want to skin that cat, we will be happy to help you out with that.
And I just pasted it into his messenger, so he'll have it if he's not here still. I know sometimes people get kicked out.
Did you just slide into his DMs?
I just slid right into his DM. I didn't use lube either.
Oh my God.
That's the going rate for 2020, right? You just get dry fucked all.
Oh damn! Shots are getting fired in the comments section.
Uh-oh.
Oh no.
Stef, defend your honor now.
Raise to ours.
Okay.
Call to arms.
So he's here. All right, good. Well, I sent it to you in your DM, Ed, anyway. So you guys got some awesome names behind this.
Yeah, that was that one right there came late. The Brant Michaels edition.
Yeah.
We got the artwork a little bit late, and then Anastasia had just a ton of shit just on her plate. So we finally got it colored and up about a week ago.
People they seem to like it too, so I'm really glad.
I heard people like Michaels' artwork. I'm not too sure. And Ryan Kincaid, that one
got Kincaid.
Yeah, that was fun. This is his first piece. Anastasia over here colored that one as well.
Those are my colors.
If I had to be biased and pick, like that one right there is like my top 2 favorite between that and like the Dan cover, like those 2 for the campaign. Just do it for me. And I don't know if it's just because it's a first timer thing or whatever. Like I'm always big on when I see somebody's artwork represented on my character for the first time. And then not only that, but then like, you know, the lady I love over here, like, you know, when she's coloring over somebody established like Ryan Kincaid on their artwork, having that all together, it's just like it's the perfect piece right there. Like in my opinion, you can shut all the shit down. I don't care. Fuck you all. Fuck the world. That's my favorite. I'm kidding. I'm drunk.
Oh, it's all good. Hey, I love Ryan Kincaid's work too, and they're great people. You know, him and Shannon are great people. I met them at C2E2 last year, and they are some of the nicest people I've met at cons. I haven't been to a whole lot of cons, but they were definitely awesome. I've had some bad ones where you walk up to a table and you're just like, there's nobody in sight. They're by themselves and they're just drawing away, and so you're standing there watching them, you know, do their inking, and you're like, hey, I really like your work, and they just like look up and glare at you and then look back down. It's like, oh, okay, I'm sorry that I interrupted you. No wonder your table's empty.
You know, it's funny, like of all the memories that people bring up about conventions, I think that right there, what you just talked about, I think that's probably the one that stands out the most for me. Like, hey, you remember when like artists used to ignore you when you came up and supported them? Yeah, I remember that. I don't know why that stands out in my head. Just like how I think it's because like, you know, like stuff like this, like live video, and like there's no way that like somebody like you is gonna broadcast someone like me sitting there like this. You know, like nobody gives a shit about seeing that. Like the people that you're talking to, they're gonna be engaged. Hopefully they're doing something with their hands like me. I don't know what to do with my hands. Ah! But like, you know, people. Sorry. No. Like people don't like if you're gonna bring them on a show like this online, you know, there's already the expectation that they're at least gonna talk back to you. But at conventions, like, you know, they used to not do that, because I remember exactly what you were talking about there. And I'm speaking about that, like, you know, as a fellow guy that sells shit at conventions. You know, talking to your fellow guys that are selling stuff there, you know, I get the same treatment too sometimes. But I think with the climate and the way things are these days, people have gotten kind of cognizant about, you know, that particular thing. So I think people hopefully wised up about it and are a little bit smarter about, hey, fan interaction is just as important as having the product to sell. And if you're not with those times, then you're going to get left in the dust. I mean, there's no way like somebody like me is able to like do this shit and somebody else isn't able to. You know what I mean? So.
No, I know exactly what you mean. Yeah, I mean, you know, with the cons being closed up for so long, people are going to have to stop being so uptight once the cons open back up, because it's really going to hurt them, you know.
Well, you know, like the strange thing, like there's already still conventions that are going on, like on a smaller scale right now. And I haven't really heard any feedback from shows. Like I've seen like a few people, and the feedback's been the same, like from the exhibitor standpoint, just like, you know, oh, it's been slow, it's whatever. But I'm kind of curious, like what the climate's like there. You know, like are they acting differently towards their customers, or, you know, is it the same old, same old? Because I'm kind of fascinated about how that is, whatever it is right now. You know.
And I have to say, I loved that when I was going through the Kickstarter, when you guys launched it, the whoa, buddy, I said, whoa. It cracks me up, because usually people always put censored, or they put hearts over it, or you know, like Totally Rad Comics will put the Totally Rad over it or whatever. But I was busting up laughing when I seen that.
You know, like I swear to God, like I was telling Anastasia here not too long ago that like the things that you put the least amount of time into tend to be the things that resonates the most with the person, you know. And like for me, it's just like that right there was just some bullshit. Like, oh, okay, I gotta put something dumb in there because if I just put censored, it's whatever. So like, you know, let's jazz it up a little bit, and that's what that was. And you're not the first person I've heard that's mentioned that. And it's funny because I forgot where I took that from. Anyway, I think in all honesty, like the way my brain works is that I usually take stuff from real life. So I swear to God, I think I heard like, you know, Brandy Sparkles from Coffin Comics. I swear to God, I remember like, whoa, buddy. I said, whoa. I don't know if I nailed it or not, but I could have swore I've heard her say that at some point, and that's kind of so when I think of like censored butts and vaginas or whatever, that's what that's where my head went. So I don't have any censored butts. I have everything on the front censored. See, there's Stef's cover. His butt ain't censored.
Yes, and I will say this again. Carrie Ann did a fantastic job with the color. I do this every time. It's like, it's true.
It's almost a catchphrase now.
And I love Carrie Ann.
You gotta speak into the mic, honey. I'm just kidding. You're like right there.
I'm
You're
like
fine.
right here.
What's up, guys?
So yeah, so definitely, you guys check out that Kickstarter. There's some awesome stuff in there. I'm gonna post the link in there again once I pull it up. Since I posted the Artist Express on here. Give me just a second. But so yeah, enough about the Kickstarter for now. Let's talk about the Changeling. So how did you come up with the idea for the Changeling? I don't know if you've told it before or if you've mentioned it before, but I'm definitely interested to hear it.
So I have another book series that I did. I went to school at ITT Tech. It fucked me over the coals financially with the financial aid. So I said, all right, you guys have a print room. It's game on. I'm getting my printing for free, and y'all can just fuck off, right? So I had another book series called Fate, and it was kind of a semi-autobiographical book about a friend of mine that passed away. At least that's what it was loosely based on. And I did the first 5 issues. They sold. It was whatever. It was like when my name wasn't even a drop in the bucket on the radar, so to speak. A couple years passed, and I'm like, I want to reboot this, kind of start it over. My artwork's a little bit better than what it was back then. And did that, and had the book nearly complete. And twice in a row, natural act of God catastrophes destroyed the book. The second time was the book getting burnt in a fucking house fire. It was just like, I can't win with this book. So I needed like a palate cleanser. And I had this story in my head for like the longest time. It was something I collaborated on with another friend way back when, and it just never went anywhere. It was just like kind of a conversation you have at 2 a.m. at Denny's, right? And I'm like, you know what? There's something there. I'm the sentimental guy. I'm gonna flesh this out. And so I just did the first issue of the Changeling, drew it all on comic backing boards because it was faster than drawing 11 by 17 fully rendered images. Put the first issue out, and conveniently, I caught a ride with Alfred and Kara to what was it? It was some convention in the Midwest and Mid-East. I don't know, the Heartland country. Cheyenne. It was in Cheyenne. I'm sorry. The farthest I've traveled that way. So I did an exclusive for that show. It did quite well. And then from there, I'm like, okay, well, this is something that I can kind of, make happen. And it just kind of grew and grew from there. And it kind of got legs on its own. And the biggest push I got was I did a convention exclusive for Toledo for Lady Death. I did the Necromancer edition. And he invited me out to Jesse James Comics to do a signing with them as part of the show that they did there for, I think it was AZ VentureCon. And I had my Changeling stuff on hand. People knew about me from it. I was able to give information. And just like that, my stock just went overnight. And I've just been trying to keep up with it ever since. And then earlier in the year, I met this lovely lady right here. And she took my self-published, self-made art and kind of took it to the next level with her amazing coloring ability and marketing ability.
So yeah, so you can see my color work in issue 6 of the Changeling. That's when I caught this roller coaster, I suppose. But yeah.
So it's been a fun ride. And like I said, it's like a turtle in the wild where they grow the shit behind their shells. That's what the Changeling is right now. It's just a turtle with a bunch of shit behind its shells right now. That's how I look at it. So that's where we are. And then now people happen to enjoy the product and stuff. And now I'm here. I think the biggest thing that I omitted throughout the course of all this was I never did interviews, never went live, never talked about the campaign, you know. So this is like my first time actually putting this ugly mug to the camera and talking about it, where people can actually hear a tangible opinion about it versus something written, which that alone kind of also took that stock and bumped it up to the next level again. So again, thank you for having us on and letting us talk about it, because stuff like this, for me, someone that is really bad with anxiety and a bunch of other shit, this would have been unheard of a couple of years ago. But you know, now there's enough of an interest there that, you know, I feel a little bit more comfortable being able to actually be on camera and talking about it.
Oh, you're welcome. I appreciate you guys being on. It's an honor to have you guys on here. I mean, this is something I've been trying to do for 2 years, and COVID kind of booted it in the ass and sent it into warp drive because, you know, like I was talking about Ed before, trying to get him online to talk about his work. There's a lot of great artists and like you guys and that have great books and great ideas that don't really get the recognition you guys deserve. And so 2 years ago, a little over 2 years ago, I started Art Exposure for artists to be able to share their live feeds to and to try to convince artists to do their work live. And it was just so hard to try to get people to do it. Like it was just like pulling teeth. And like here and there, I'd get a few that would do it. And, you know, like Finney the Great was the first show that I did. And after like a month and a half or 2 months later, they did a couple of live shows on their own and it blew up. And, you know, now they're up to like 35,000 viewers. They do,
Wow.
so they put their quick draws on TikTok. And so they got like 35,000 viewers on TikTok that watch their work. And so it's really awesome. I don't do it to brag about it. It's just, that's what I want to do. I want to take people and their great work and I want to put it out there to the world. You know, whether you guys that are here now watching it live, I'm also streaming to Twitch. I'm also streaming to YouTube. So this video will forever be on YouTube and on Facebook. So people can go back and watch it and say, hey, who is this guy? You know, let's get to know a little bit more about them. And you had mentioned that Anastasia does the coloring. So I'd like to talk about you for a few minutes. What inspired you to get into coloring and to get into art?
Great.
Anthony's like, thanks, I can go get a beverage now.
Right. So, sorry, can you repeat the question?
Talk about yourself.
We'll talk about it.
Yeah, what inspired you to get into coloring and to do art? How long have you been doing art?
So, I've been doing art since like I was a little girl, basically. And I've always did it in practice. I think before I got into comics, I was doing more so concept-based artwork, where I would try to design things for games or like indie games, or But now here I am doing coloring work for indie comics, and slowly but surely getting my colors out. Which, I've been pretty fortunate in that area. I've already have some super top secret covers that are yet to be released, that are, well, they're going to be published. And so that's awesome for me.
And it's stuff that you guys already collect, everybody looking and viewing right now.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, and I think this is another way to get practice in, as well as share my artwork. Is one thing for me that's really important, and that like I hold closely. It's being able to know and or like really understand the fundamentals to being a good artist, and so like anatomy and colors, which that's what I'm doing. So I need to know at least basic color theory to be at least a bit successful in that area, right? To be a colorist. But yeah, I have a secret project on the way with the Changeling, so it's going to be all exclusive art from me, which will be coming in the coming weeks pretty soon. So I already posted some teasers about it on my Facebook too. Um, so that's super awesome. It's gonna be very fun. And yeah. Aside from like indie comics, I am totally like inspired by like master artists like Frank Frazetta and or Gerald Brom. They're like notoriously like they're world renowned with their artwork because it's just amazing, and they do fantasy artwork, which is what I like to do too. So you probably see my fairies and owls. But yeah. Um, any more questions?
Yeah, and I've enjoyed watching some of your live art shows. I know sometimes you go on real late at night, so I don't always get to watch them. I usually will go back and check them out. But the ones that I've watched, I really admire your art. It's beautiful and it's fun to watch. I mean, that's something that I love doing, and I've liked doing for a long time. I love just sitting and watching your guys' process because every artist has a different process of how they sketch and they ink and they color, and it's just amazing to watch an idea come to life. Partially because I can't draw worth a shit. I mean, if you like stick figures and the most I can do to kind of emphasize the difference between male and female is just do like stuff circle templates on the female stick figures. But
like in all honesty, of all like my peers in the comic industry, I'll call a spade and say I'm nowhere near the best artistic talent out there versus the people that I'm fortunate enough to work with and collaborate with even on the Changeling. But I'll say that I will boldly put my artwork out and put it up against anything else if she colors it, because she just takes it to the next level. Makes it all look great. I mean, like that Brian Kincaid cover for the Changeling, that Rob Michaels cover for the Changeling, our main cover for the Changeling. I think you covered like 4 pieces for the Changeling. That secret project that she's working on right now, we'll be talking about it here in a short time. For me, I look at the Changeling not as like a destination point for artists to come to, like, oh, I want to work on the Changeling. For me, I'm kind of in the same boat with people that discover other people, where I want to be the launching pad for new talent, like where they come and they do something awesome for me, for my book, but then they go off and they have success elsewhere, or if they're happy with the Changeling and the product, they stick with me, and it is what it is. And I told her the same thing, and like that earlier when she was talking about the secret stuff that she's working with, it's let the cat out of the bag. It's like covers for people like Ron Michaels, a couple others, like big names in the industry already. Right off the gate, she's already working with them and doing colors for them and seeing the artwork for them. Everybody's gonna be really fucking amazed when they're actually published or put out, solicited to the world. And I'm really honored that it's her that's doing the colors for these pieces. And it's not to say that like the other artists that are out there. I think for me, it's a selfish thing, but like I'm really happy to see her get her dues already with what she's been doing, because she is so great at what she does. Like I want to say like light up a room kind of thing in the art world. She's fucking fantastic. I mean, like my issue 6 of this book is like day and night versus anything else that's came out before it. Almost to the point where I'm like, fuck, I got to remaster like 5 issues now with her colors just to make it something.
No, and I totally get it. It's like Stef and Carrie, Stef, when Carrie started coloring Stef's work, it just made it explode. And now Stef can be lazy and leave out lines and leave it for the colorist, like he says.
That's what I do now. Like, it's your job now. You do the hard shit. I just conceptualize.
Yeah. Speaking of Stef, and on the topic of Carrie Ann's colors, I think he shared one time with me that like she learned her colors within like 1 to 2 months, and I was like, holy cow! Like to like be able to just pick up like wherever and just like practice and study her colors to render like his line work. That was
Jump on
impressive.
them
So I was like,
yeah.
oh, I just have a bit more admiration for Carrie Ann and her colors. So.
You hear that stuff? We're kissing all y'all's asses right now.
No, I think we're complimenting where it's
putting it where it's due. You know, I'm late to the Stef Wilson game in terms of getting a cover for my book, and I'm glad I have because it's one of the higher selling ones of the campaign. And you know, what Anastasia's saying about her colors is true. I mean, like it's really like I can draw some line art, make it look great, and so many things after that step can ruin it. There's the Jersey Circler, even for the color.
So
damn. So like you know, like artists can do one thing, but like so many steps afterwards can impede or fuck up a piece. You know, like lettering can like ruin a beautiful composition, even. And you know, everything that you have after the fact, like your colorist and your lettering and your layout person are like the most important people because they're the ones that take your original piece and make it, you know, presentable to the public.
Just make it come to life. That's how I like to like phrase it.
And you're good at making shit come to life, Ms. Lady.
Oh, but since like we were talking about like
Thank you, John.
Secret project, I guess I'm working on with the Changeling. And it's going to be more of like a kind of like a vintage kind of
Pinup book.
Pinup book. Yeah. And it's going to have all my art, and it's going to have like slight variations in styles. And since this is like our first kind of, I guess, like interview live on Facebook, and I think it could like I would like to show a little peek at one of the pieces I've done. Oh no, the kitty pulled the cord.
That damn cat.
I knew he was going to do that.
Hi.
Hello. Okay, kitty.
All right. I'm gonna keep an eye out.
Heck yeah, let's show off this some sneak peek.
So it's on my phone, so let's see.
Yeah, this is the best way to make it super secret.
So here's a little sneak peek at an artwork that I finished for that pinup book. And there's going to be many more pieces from me. So this is like a spread I did for it. I don't know if you can see that very well.
That's all they need to see.
Yep.
We'll leave those heathens for another time. They have to wait.
Yeah, so everyone.
That's right. They have to wait. By the way, that's a beautiful piece. I love it. That's nice.
So
I mean, it's way better than my artwork. Here, see, here's my rendition of Stef's cosplay cover for Naughty Fairy Stripper Assassin. So Stef does the You Can Draw segment, and in the first segment, one of the first segments was drawing Deadpool. So I started Stef Pool comics, and so every week I do something really funny. If you want to, you can go on my page, and if you look at my photo albums, there's a Stef Pool album, and there's some really funny shit in there. But this is his cosplay cover for Naughty Fairy Stripper.
I have seen these already. Yes, these are brilliant. I was like, I didn't get the context of them when I first saw them. I was like, is this guy trolling him or what? It was like kind of like before, you know, I mean, you got to conversate a little bit more, and I'm like, wow, the audacity. But now there's some context to it, so now it makes complete sense, and now I'm all for it. So keep it coming. Now you gotta like make fun of his. You gotta do like a Stef Pool Changeling mashup. Like just give like, you know, like Deadpool some tits and like, you know, some horns or whatever.
I can do it. I can
do that from you next time, sir.
Yeah, so and that's how I am. You know, if you ever find me like in a chat room, like I'll just go in and I'll be in there like maybe the first time and I'll chat a little bit, and then come the second time I go in and razz, and it's great because Stef and we do it all week long. Like I'll fire off at him for 3 or 4 days, and then I'll leave him alone, and then like a day or two will go by, and he'll start bombing my page with stuff. So it's all good. We have fun with it. It gives us something fun to do to relieve our stress for the day, and it's a blast. And now everybody else has followed suit, so everybody gives them trouble, and I love it.
You know, if I wasn't working 2 jobs and dead ass tired all the time, I'd be probably a little bit more apropos to be firing that off too. But yeah, I'm always tired. I think that's like kind of like my mantra lately is, man, that guy is tired.
Yeah, I'm like recovering from chemo and cancer as a doctor too, but
Just trying to get it all out while that's going on. Real quick though, just touch back on the pinups book. I have no involvement whatsoever with it. It is 100% Anastasia, and that's what I am most excited about with this book. That's right, you heard it here first. I'm excited because I am not doing anything with this fucking book. It is all her. And because of that, you will all want to rush to like your preacher, your proctologist, to your mortician, whoever, and you will want to tell them that you need to collect this book because and she didn't spill the beans on this, but I'm going to here as well. You saw that piece that we had earlier. There's going to be a naughty and nice version of the interiors as well as the covers for this book. So it's going to be a naughty and nice book. So one you got boobs, one you got covered boobs. So I like it when Anastasia draws boobs. I'm just going to leave that
I
there.
kind of have more of like I want to say like a classy approach to it, I guess. Like,
Classy, not Jersey trashy like that Stef Wilson guy.
No.
Okay.
Stef Wilson is fine. He's very nice.
He's a very nice man. We love him.
So one of the things I learned about you too. So speaking of earlier, I wanted to touch back on this. So you had talked about you went to concerts anyway, despite everything that was going on. So you're a huge Ghost fan. I hear you're a huge Ghost fan from when you were on David Harrigan's feed a few weeks ago, talking about the Ghost BC pieces.
Yeah, my you can't see it from here. Actually, if I duck, you might be able to see like one of them. But like through unintentional interior design choices that I've made, my entire studio area, everywhere I look, there's an original David Harrigan Ghost art piece. And it's the original. It's not like a print. I have one print of his. And then the other 7 are hand-drawn pieces that he's done for the show. We've kind of done a thing where he will draw them, make prints or whatever. Before he got one of those cease and desist orders. We want to talk about that. Nobody wants to hear about that. Before all that, he would always do like his annual Ghost piece because like Papa Emeritus would update himself or reveal himself to the world. I'm trying to think of how to like kind of play into their chronology here. But every year David would do a new piece, and I'd always get first dibs on it. And now I have like 7 original David Harrigan Ghost pieces. Because Ghost rocks. Woo! And David Harrigan rocks double woo.
That's right. Rock on. So and it sucks too because all the concerts. I mean, that's not the only thing we're missing out on. We're not just missing out on cons. We're missing out on concerts too. I mean, we used to hit up like at least 15 or 20 concerts before we had kids. Now we got to the 4 and the 5-year-old, and with Roderick having his heart issues, and whenever he goes in for cardiac caths and open heart surgeries and all that stuff, we can't leave him with anybody because nobody really can know when he's not acting right. So we haven't really hit up the concerts, but we were talking about maybe hitting up a couple of concerts this year or next year with them getting older now and his surgeries have gotten farther apart. It's like we were going to start doing more stuff, and then the whole Maya Sharona, Miley Cyrus, Peter Pandemic, as Brian K. Morris likes to call it, COVID. It sucks, the concerts, and it's really cool to see some of the artists have been doing drive-in concerts. So are they, you can go to like your local drive-in and sit in your car, because we got one here in Cuba and there's another one down south in Ironton. And they've been doing this thing where artists have been playing live, and then you can watch them at the drive-in or at the theater, which is really cool. But it's still not the same as being at a concert, paying for that $25 beer and having a bunch of drunk people running around.
Now, last time I saw Ghost, I think I spent $50 on 2 mixed drinks between me and my brother. I miss spending an overabundant amount of money that I can spend for $4 at home, and I'm okay with that. That was just like the cost of the experience. The last show that we've seen, I think it was me and her. We saw a band called Planet Zymox, which is an '80s. They're kind of like The Cure.
Like cold wave.
Yeah, like a cold wave kind of band, British. It was a fun concert. It was a small, intimate setting. It was like when COVID first happened and people weren't really sure about, like the social distancing and all that. And that was when I was pretty much balls deep in my my chemo treatment and stuff. So it was an experience that night, with me having to sit down like multiple times and her having to take care of me throughout the concert.
Yeah, it's been like it's been like 7 years since I seen Ghost. I seen them at Pointergeist in St. Louis at Verizon Wireless Amphitheater out in Maryland Heights. It was Ghost BC and Avenged Sevenfold, and that was a badass concert, man. I mean, of course, it's Russ Explode Studios, so Avenged Sevenfold comes out. They got this giant ass skull on stage. I mean, humongous. And the mouth opens and closes, and there's just this giant flame shooting out everywhere. It was badass. I will never forget that concert. All the explosions, and the whole stage was on fire. They had this really cool, demon flame background setup. It was freaking sweet. And they did a couple of songs together. It was crazy, insane.
The first time I saw Ghost, I mean, it was on a bill. I mean, it was pretty fucking stacked for being like, it was an outdoor show. And everybody was drunk, and it was apparent when you saw them perform on stage. But the opening band was Pussifer, which is Maynard from Tool. It's a side project. That was the opening band. Then it was Ghost. Then it was the Deftones. Then it was Rob Zombie. And then it was Linkin Park headlining the show. Unfortunately, we didn't stick around for Linkin Park. We left because traffic and all that jazz. We ended up leaving early. But that was a pretty stacked show. And see, Ghost was fine, but you don't want to see them outdoors in a daytime setting. I mean, if you've seen them live, you know that you got to get that whole
dark theme,
like with the backdrops and like all that other stuff. So seeing them live at an outdoor stage is just kind of, oh, that's cool, I guess. Chino was drunk when I saw the Deftones, and Max Cavalera from Soulfly did like a guest spot for that song "Head Up" from their first album. And neither one of them were in time with each other, so it was them like headbanging and doing a bunch of random shit for like 4 minutes, and nobody knew what was going on. Rob Zombie was sick, so he couldn't sing for most of his set, so that just sounded like shit. And really, like the best set there was Pussifer. And like out of all of the Maynard projects between Pussifer, Perfect Circle, and Tool, that show was kind of what cemented me as like a permanent like Pussifer fan over all the other stuff. I mean, I'm still a giant, Tool and Perfect Circle fan, but that show alone was just so fucking brilliant and amazing that nothing else would ever top that. And it's unfortunate, like some of the bands that I've wanted to see, that I had tickets for, like me, Mike DeBalfo, and my brother, were going to go see Lamb of God, Megadeth, and Trivium all together on this fucking badass card at a small venue in our hometown, Phoenix. And COVID happened, and now it's like one of those shows that's up in the air, and you don't know if they're going to cancel the show or postpone it or whatever. Right now it's postponed, but we'll see what happens. But, as artists, appreciating what people do on stage, I kind of like, for me, I like the showmanship. I like the weirdness. I like whatever. That's why I'll get a little bit more animated than other people that you see, because I don't want to be another talking head. Like for me, like my biggest inspiration artistically are Ghost and Rammstein, and also now Pussifer. Like seeing those three together, like the way that they command an audience, the way that they work their stage presence. I mean, this dorky looking motherfucker right here wants to do something that's on par with something that's like that, that brilliant and that intelligent. And I'm not there yet by any stretch of the imagination, but I want to have that kind of effect on people. And I think with time, like with us, like working together, it'd be nice to kind of do something kind of weird and crazy and zany, like how these bands do. So for me, having that stuff kind of taken away because of all the COVID stuff, it's a big rip on like the artistic inspiration and like trying to find it with everything going on. But I think like really like she's my biggest inspiration right now, just because of seeing like what she does, not just with pen to paper, not just with a digital tablet, but like she makes jewelry, she plays guitar, she does so many other things. She's like a wonderkind in everything that she does. And I'm over here like whining because my pen settings aren't working right on my tablet, like she challenges me all the time.
It's like every artist's like worst nightmares when their tablet pen doesn't work if they're a digital artist.
I don't know. She's my savior from the pandemic, I guess. Like if I don't have music, at least I have her. I know it sounds all cutesy and fishy, whatever, but fuck it, fuck all of you. I'm gonna say it. No. Simmer down. Whoa, this is a family show.
Oh, it's all good. I don't see a problem with being sentimental. I mean, it couldn't get any worse than me admitting on air that Up made me cry like a baby when I watched it. Like it was the saddest thing. Like literally, like it opened up and it showed them growing old together and them saving money for a trip, and then the trip doesn't happen because this happens, and then this happens, and then this happens, and then eventually he goes to get the money to go on the trip, and then she gets sick and passes away. And it was like the saddest thing ever. And my wife's just looking at me like, is there something wrong with you? I'm like, no, that's really fucking sad. Like, how can you not cry at that? Because I'm like, literally, that's our life in a freaking movie right there. Because I mean, it's just been crazy. It was like with my project, I've been working on it for 10 years and trying to get it out there, and then everything that's happened, and then our son having open heart surgery, and then it finally took me thinking I had cancer to put a boot in my ass to get my project done and put it out there to the world, and let it go and be good with it. But it was like, it was so sad watching. And I don't think there's anything wrong with showing your feelings. It's like when I pushed the button and launched my project finally after 10 years, I'm probably gonna cry. I'm not gonna lie.
I cry right now. Like I heard that song by Rainbow, Street of Dreams, the other day. Like Anastasia totally just had it on her playlist at random. I'm sure you know that song. Do you remember me on the street of dreams? It's like a song I heard when I was like 10 years old, and I haven't heard it since because nobody plays that shit on the radio. And then she has it on her fucking Spotify or whatever. And then like I'm hearing it, and I'm literally driving home, like let's play it again. And I'm all like crying. And see, like I'm overt, and like if something does genuinely affect me like that, yeah, I make it known. Like, hey, you see these tears, motherfucker? Like what you're doing or what I'm seeing right now? I'm experiencing this. And
that's right.
I think like for me, that right there. I mean, like in the privacy of like our car, yeah, that's cheesy as hell. I ain't gonna lie. I thought that was funny. Like, I'm fucking crying. You see me over here? Look at this door. But like, being somebody that does something that other people consume for a living or whatever, like say the Changeling or say like whatever, and like seeing me as like the pointed figure for this, or anybody in that particular thing, they want to see like, at least it's how I experience it. They want to see like how you're affected by everyday things like that, like if you're just like sitting there standing and stoic and yet you're whatever going on, and if you're just like bored, you're just another piece on the assembly line. I like being weird. I like being somebody that's out there to challenge the norm, and if it means that I cry during shit, then so be it. And if anybody else cries, I encourage it. Cry, motherfuckers. If you like something, cry about it.
You know what? There's nothing to be ashamed of. All that it literally means is that at some level, emotionally, what you're consuming artistic-wise is connected to you. And that's what you want when you're making a book, or you're making an art piece, or you're making a song, or you're making a movie. You want to connect with your audience. And if it makes somebody cry, then you connected with them on a level, because somewhere in their life they can feel for that character or that art piece or what you're singing about in the song or what's going on in the movie. Because at some point there's a connection there, and that's what you want. So I don't see anything wrong with it.
So what usually happens is that in the instances where something like that is ever, like, I want to say called out, because nobody would ever be an asshole and be like, you're creating that, you're fucking lame. Nobody's ever like that to me, at least to my face. But I get more of, hey man, like, I completely forgot about that song. That's fucking rad. Like, dude, I listened to that and I just started, like, all over again, started listening to this shit. And then, like, all of a sudden I got all their songs on my playlist. Like, it's dumb shit. Like, it sounds trivial, but it's like, sometimes something like that's like a big inspiration for somebody else. And, like, just showing your enthusiasm for anything. I think, like, even in these times, like, we're camera to camera right now. We're titty to titty, like Ruben is with Stef right there. I can't think. Oh, fuck, I lost my train of thought. All right, I got it back. All right. So, fucking me up here, guy. But, like, the thing is,
sorry, they
like,
were asking for it.
I think people want to see what, like, what drives us as creators, what drives you as a moderator for a show like this. People kind of want to see, like, what's up, and they want to get kind of pointed to something new or different from, like, their daily norm. Like I don't want to be part of your daily norm. I don't want to talk about politics. I don't want to talk about religion. I don't want to talk about this. I don't want to talk about that. I want to talk about weird shit that you don't think about, like Rhode Island. It's neither a road nor an island. It's blew everybody's fucking mind right now, right? Although that point was made on Saturday Night Live like 25 years ago. But I don't want to just continue to push the narrative, push the norm. I'm okay with expressing just, the shit that affects me genuinely. Because if it affects me outwardly, it's going to affect me internally, and it's going to affect my work. So chances are you're going to read something and there's going to be like some lyric that's going to be hidden amongst the text of the book somewhere. If you're savvy enough and you read the Changeling all the way through, there's a bunch of hidden messages and a bunch of hidden call-outs and stuff in there. One of the biggest ones that I did, speaking of this here, was for the first 10 backers of the Changeling, they got a Goddess of Fuck edition. What a name, right? Makes no sense. What does that mean, Goddess of Fuck? I'm a big, giant Marilyn Manson fan. He's got a song. One of the lyrics is, I am the God of Fuck. And in issue 4, I took that lyric and she wipes out an entire downtown section of a city full of people, just fucking neutralizes them while screaming out, I am the Goddess of Fuck. And I just thought that was kind of cool. So I took that lyric and I just made that the name of my edition that the first 10 backers of Hell Awaits got. So that's how, like, the outward world affects me and drives my creativity, so to speak, if that makes sense. Or maybe I just had too many drinks. Okay, cool. I still had too many drinks.
I like weird shit too. Like, why is it brand new car? Like, what's the difference between brand new and new? Like, imagine having an hour conversation with a group of people about why it's brand new or it's new or brand new. Like, really, what is the freaking difference? I need to know this.
If I could touch base on this very riveting and important subject here. I think brand new would be, it just came off of the show floor. Nothing has touched this thing except for it being delivered straight to you. And then new is like, hey, it's new to you. And that's how I would see it. But I'm pretty sure to somebody else it might have different connotations or meanings. Yeah, I get you. Just like if horses have horse feet, why don't they have horse socks? I'm gonna leave you guys with that.
Or why do we cook bacon but we bake cookies? I mean, one's got cook and one's got bake in the name. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. So I have baked bacon before in the toaster oven because our burner on the stove went out. And it's not that bad. You can do it. It's just not as good as normal.
They do make no-bake cookies, but
well, that's true.
Why do they call it a sidewalk when you run on the sidewalk? Why don't they call it a side run? We can do this all day, guy.
Yeah, man. Why do you
I can't think of anything else. Take
It's
over
never
the show,
brand.
Anastasia. Jack wants you to take over. Witty banter. Witty banter.
Right, I'm more of like an observer. It's like,
Hey, you gotta give them some. You gotta cut them some slack, Jack. It's their first live interview. We're breaking through barriers here. We're having a good time. We're talking about shit. We're talking about badass bands. And speaking of badass bands, one of the coolest shows I've ever seen. I've always been a Gravity Kills fan since I was like younger. And Gravity Kills is a badass band, and they just like disappeared off the face of the earth for a long time. What's that?
I said that's a name I have not heard in a while, but I remember them being fucking badass.
Oh, dude, and you know what was fucking awesome is they did a show because they're a St. Louis-based band. They did a show in St. Louis at the Pageant with Blue October like 8 years ago. It was like a pop-up show out of nowhere. I was like, Gravity Kills? I'm like, holy shit, we got to go to that. So I ended up getting through to The Point, which is our local alternative band. So that's why it's like Pointergeist or like, Point Fest. If you hear me say that, it's because it's 105.7 The Point. And I won tickets to it, dude. I was so fucking excited to go to that. And it was badass. Like Gravity Kills, it was like no time had passed at all. I mean, it had been like 12 years since they'd done a show, and it sounded even better than listening to the album 100 million times. It was so cool. And then Blue October, it was off the chain. Like the bass was so loud, it was knocking the foam insulation that they sprayed on the ceiling to keep the sound down in the neighborhood. Because the pageant's like up in Del Mar Loop, and it's like there's a whole bunch of houses around it. Dude, like the whole night insulation's falling off the ceiling, and Blue October's just, it was badass. And the other badass show that I watched was at Pops over in Sauget, Illinois, and it was Seven Dust. That was badass too. I'd never seen them live up until then.
The first show, I think I've been kind of like spoiled when it came to like bands that I've seen, and it's only because of like people I've known, that kind of pushed me. Because otherwise, I probably would never spend money on a ticket to a concert. But except nowadays, I'm like, fuck you, I want like front stage passes, blah blah. The very first concert that I've ever seen by a professional band was when I was like probably 13, and I saw the Melvins in a parking lot behind the actual venue they were supposed to play in, because the capacity was so much higher than they could actually fit inside the show, that they did it in a caged off parking lot behind the venue. And I swear to God, like you were talking about, like like the bass player. Oh shit! Look at that.
Wow.
No pants on. I have no pants on, buddy. No, just kidding. Well, I don't. I have shorts. But anyways, yeah, that show right there. You want to talk about like every time the bass player, like fucking, or the drummer hit the bass pedal, my heart would literally, like, I would feel it like I was having a fucking coronary every time he was playing shit. And
I can believe it.
I was excited because like it was them coming off of they did a song that was featured on a Demon Night soundtrack, and so it was like the heavier phase. And I swear to God, like that was probably the most brutal show I've ever seen that didn't have a mosh pit. Like for some reason nobody moshed in that show, but then like I've seen Lamb of God with Gojira and like In Flames, and everybody's doing the Wall of Death and all that shit there. And saw Slayer headline with Amon Amarth. Yeah, that was like my last like kick-ass metal show. It was Slayer, Amon Amarth, Cannibal Corpse, and did I say Lamb of God? Yeah, Lamb of God was on that show too. And that was probably the most brutal show I've been to. And that was up in the grass, and there's people that were, I shit you not, they were drunk as fuck, and unintentionally, like, two of them set themselves on fire by accident. Like, when you see the video where, like, the guys are like, and then they, like, fucking jump through a window or whatever? These guys were literally, like, in flames like that, but then, like, they were luckily, like, put out quickly. That was some shit. You're watching a metal show up in, like, the cheap seats, and you just see a couple dudes run by you completely doused in flames. Running by like that, that is something I will never forget. That was probably the coolest thing I've seen concert-wise. And then, of course, seeing Clan of Zymox was awesome. Before that, me and her saw Voltaire together. I don't know if you know who Voltaire is, but he did like a lot of music for like the Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy, like a lot of the Nickelodeon shows. but he's like this like really awesome goth kind of vampire looking guy that does like these like really dirty limericks.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a fun show. So.
So does Anastasia? Do you share the same taste in music as he does, or?
Somewhat. I think there's enough chemistry in that area. See, like, you know, I enjoy hair metal bands like she does. Like,
I put on hair metal all the time and she hates it.
He listens. You know, I like a bit of variety. Like, I'm always like trying to explore different sounds. You know, that it just keeps me like, I guess, just amused by it. But I listen to more darker music. So like he's up in me like glam rock, hair metal bands, and I'm over here like listening to black metal or much heavier sounding genres of metal.
Any of the cool points that I'll earn music wise for the next 2 years are going to be directly attributed to her. Like what's the band like Nevermore?
Nevermore is another one. It was very rich vocals, but yeah, the singer for that he passed away. His name was Laurel Dane. But you know, like
like a lot of like symphonic metal too. Like she's like into like that kind of stuff. Like a lot of the fun stuff. Like, you know, you can listen to like I don't know what it is. Every time I hear Evanescence, I think of like Will Ferrell from The Office, where he does this fake juggling act while he's playing Evanescence. So like, luckily, there's no Evanescence, but like stuff that's kind of in that realm that's better. She likes that stuff.
Yeah, or like metal songs about going to war and fighting dragons and battle. Like that's the type of music I like listening to. But like on the topic of music, you know, I guess we all can appreciate music. I guess I especially do because, like, when I'm doing my like fairies or like, you know, my fantasy art, like I have some fairies over here, but there's like different like RPG music. You did my show, man.
Like she'll put on like some really awesome ambient music, like, you know, it sounds like a bard from like the 15th century playing some heavy metal shit.
I would have,
and then she'll bust stuff like this out here.
Or I have like Celtic music, and for me, mood that music helps create for me is like very important when I create. And I could be listening to a song and just like think of like a scene or you know, some sort of mood, and I would, you know, create with it. So.
And if you're watching this, that was first look at the special project that Anastasia is working on currently, in addition to what she's working on for the Changeling.
Yeah, it's a few projects aside from projects.
Now going back to Stef here, I just have to tell him that Stef's name is Rio and he dances on the sand, just like the river coursing through the dusty land. Fuck it. That was my karaoke for the night, guys.
But yeah, so music, listening to music that creates a mood for me is like important when it comes to creating. Yeah, thank you, Stef.
Well, at least you guys aren't like complete opposites. I mean, you guys are at least in the same genre of like metal music. Like my wife and I are total opposites. She listens to country music, and I listen to like, you know, pretty much all alternative and some heavy metal and all that, which runs into the funny story. I don't know if you've ever heard it or not, but I played the ultimate prank on my wife. So I wanted to see Godsmack and Five Finger Death Punch so bad. They were doing Pointergeist. This was like 6 years ago. So it was Pointergeist, it was Five Finger Death Punch, and Godsmack. We didn't have the money to get tickets, and they were giving away tickets. Well, my wife won them. And she's like, I'm not really into your kind of music. Your dad listens to the same music you do. Ask him if he wants to go. And I knew with it being Godsmack with Soliarna, I was like, there was no way he was going to say no. So he's like, oh yeah, I'll go. So we go to the show, and part of the grand prize of winning these tickets everybody that won tickets from the radio station got put into a drawing for the grand prize. You got to meet the band backstage and go on the tour bus with them. So we get to the show and there's like literally nobody at the show. Like there's maybe 100 people out of the 1,000 seats that they sold because they did it on a bad weekend. Everybody had Halloween parties going on and everything else. So they come up and they're like, hey, well, you guys want to move up, because they wanted to make it look like a packed house. So they moved everybody close to the front row. I'm like, hell yeah. So they moved us right up. I mean, like literally, I'm like from here to the computer from the speakers. And I'm like, oh man, this is going to be badass. And so the show was awesome. Sully was on some freaking drums. They had wheels and was driving around the stage playing the drums. I was taking pictures and sending them to my wife. And I started the joke that we won the grand prize. And so she was just totally pissed about it. Which why I don't know, because like she doesn't even like that kind of music. So what does she care? I guess it's
what was the grand prize?
You got to meet the band and get on the tour bus with them. And so I was like, and you got moved to front row. That was the other part of the grand prize. So she legitimately thought we won because we were like front row seats. So I keep this going the whole show. You know, Five Finger Death Punch comes out. I'm taking pictures, and you know, they got this badass goth metal mic stand that they welded up. It was freaking sweet looking. And so I'm sending her pictures, and I'm like, oh, this is awesome. I wish you were here, you know, just giving her a hard time. So after the show's over, everybody's leaving the show, and we're walking to the car. And I tell my dad, I was like, we should really screw with my wife and take this to the next level. I'm like, I'm going to call her. You pretend to be Sully from Godsmack, and ask her, tell her that in order for us to be able to go on the tour bus with them, she has to answer the question correctly. Name a song that we sing. And so it was perfect. So my dad, you know, changed his voice, and he's like, hey, this is Sully from Godsmack. If I got your husband and his dad standing here, and in order for them to get on the tour bus, you have to answer the question. You've got 10 seconds. And he's like, name a song that we sing. And this was right around when Crying Like a Bitch came out. Like it was like right around that time. So that song had been on the radio like 100,000 times with her in the car. So she knew the song, and for some reason it didn't register. So I could hear her booting up the computer in the background, and it's, you know, I'm like, I'm whispering to my dad. I'm like, hey, she's trying to get on the computer and cheat. And he's like, all right, time's almost up. And he started counting down. And so she didn't even have time to get the computer on. I just hung up on her. So like we're driving, she was at her mom's house. I dropped her off there because her mom lived up in St. Louis. And so I was like, hey, you can go visit your mom, you know, instead of sitting at home, you know, while we're at the concert. So we get to her mom's house, and she's just like bawling. There's tears coming out of her eyes. And I'm like, what is wrong? She's like, I don't want you being mad at me because you didn't get to go on the tour bus. I was like, oh, we didn't win the grand prize. They just moved us up the front row. And she was like, I freaking hate you, you son of a bitch. And she's like, I can't believe you would do that to me. And I was like, sorry, you know. So come to find out, while all this was going on, like while we're, you know, drilling her, she's freaking out, running through her mom's house. Her mom had been in the shower. Her dad was quadriplegic, so he's in a wheelchair. He's like, what the fuck's going on? He's like looking around because Tiffany's my wife is running frantically through the house, trying to get the computer and get it turned on. Her mom comes running out of the bathroom with the towel around her, still soaking wet because she doesn't know what's going on. She hears everybody running through the house, stuff getting knocked over, and it was hilarious. It was the ultimate of pranks. That's what she gets for listening to country.
You know, next time she like, you know, gets tickets to go see Garth Brooks, she'll pull that same shit on you. You better expect that. But see, now
she doesn't have enough of the planning to put into something that epic. I just do. That's the kind of stuff that I do all the time. And she'll admit it. She can't pull off a grand scheme prank like that. That's just me all the time doing stuff. So, I mean, I'm on the tour bus. Come party with me. Who are you on the tour bus with, Larry? Are you just talking about, you know, whenever we were giving her a hard time?
Oh man, I would have took that to the next level and just like call him like, what the fuck? Like I just lost the fucking thing. Like, what happened? I thought you knew all these songs. Like I would have taken that to the next level. But I'm pretty sure you have a kind heart and probably wouldn't put her through that. So
Well, see,
kudos
the
to you,
thing
man,
though
for
is,
that.
is there's a difference between me being mad and calling her out on it, and then me not saying anything at all. Because she knows that if I'm mad, I'll say something about it. But if I'm really mad, I'll stew on it for a while because I want to cool off. And so me just not even calling her back or replying to her text messages was like a slow burn of he's really freaking mad about this. And I was just like, oh, we didn't win. You know, I get out and I'm all smiling. And she's like, I freaking hate you.
Oh man. See, like I have planning kind of like that in my head, but I don't know. I just lack the proper execution. Like I'm great at prank phone calls and shit like that. But I think like when it's like with people that I actually love and care about, for some reason there's like a governor on me where I'm like, I can't do that to them. But eventually I'd like to. I would like to mess with you and make you go, what the fuck sometimes.
Sure.
Well, see, Steph, you must have cut out. We actually got to see a sneak peek. Shh, don't tell anybody.
Now, Steph, it's all dicks.
It's just between you.
Different dicks drawn by Anastasia. It's 20 pages of dicks, all done by Anastasia. Colored, rendered differently.
just
dicks.
The dicks.
Just dicks all over. Just 20 pages of dicks. You know what's on the cover? Dicks. You know what's on the back cover?
Ayedee Studios, Dicklopedia.
That's right. If an inside cover, dicks. But in the inside back cover, dicks. I'm done. She's doing something much more admirable.
So I guess pass me the artwork.
So she's gonna be nice and show you what you missed.
So what I showed earlier were some watercolor paintings I've done of different fairies. This one's one of my favorites. But these will be part of a parlay. These will be part of actually they're going to be part of a book. I'm making an art book, and it's going to have
these plus more
fairies, and it's going to include people from the community. So that was an extra secret, top secret thing I was planning on doing, but like, you know, people.
You heard it here first, guys.
But yeah, and then earlier we did a little sneak peek of kind of a vintage-esque pinup book for the Changeling. So, Ginger Fairy.
Steph, when's your art book coming out? Because Lord knows that you have a fucking omnibus worth of shit to put together for an art book.
And it's going to be comic book sized. You're muted, Russell.
That's because he wants to hear you talk.
Oh, well, he was taking.
Yeah, he's up to like 75 covers now. So, I mean, that's going to be a massive art book. It's going to be huge.
I mean, last I counted, like, they had to send the fucking results to the moon and back.
Well, see, when he had his show like a month ago, whenever Totally Rad had it going on, he had 69 covers. He only counts his published covers. His published. So, like, his art that he did for my upcoming book, he doesn't really count it yet because it hasn't been published. But yeah, he's got quite a few.
Yeah, he does. It's Xenonite or Xenonite Titan or something like that, right?
Yeah, Xenonite Titan.
Yeah, sorry.
So I'm bad about like not putting names to projects and faces and stuff, just because like, you know, between the day job and what I do. But I remember seeing that, and I think I haven't back. Is it live now?
It's not live.
I am brain farting. I apologize. I'm back in that shit. You're to hear first. I am back.
Another thing
awesome.
Too is any Kickstarters that I save from other comic creators and stuff, you know, and I'm still kind of like up and coming, still kind of establishing myself in this nice little world we have here. But I think it's important that we support each other, you know, as creators and stuff. So I'll share some of my monies and my monies.
Whatever we can do to help you guys, we will
and
gladly do so.
support people. 'Cause
Also, the kitty will help
Ah.
you.
Oh, that shot fired right there. Scan them and add some backgrounds. I hear Jesse Witchman does those stuff, so maybe he can add some backgrounds to your scout book.
Let's make it happen. Collaborations.
Yeah, that's right. Collaborations. Well, it was funny. Whenever I did that Steph Pool pick, and I wish I would have uploaded it when I did this Naughty Fairy Stripper Assassins piece.
Oh, wow.
I digitally added a word bubble in there and added different artists and funny phrases to it, and I did it like all day long. I would add Ruben Rosas, and then I would add Jesse Witchman. When I added Jesse Witchman, it said, "I sure wish Jesse Witchman drew me because I'd have a background." Well, it wasn't even 10 minutes, and Jesse Witchman tagged me in it, and he added a background to it and reposted it on the post. I was dying laughing. It was hilarious.
So
I was
you
like, that's
pronounce it
right
last
there.
name. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, how do you pronounce his last name? There's quite a few artists that we come across. Like, Elias, I'm going to leave it blank. Like, he's one of the other guys. It's like, how the hell do you pronounce his last name? You know what I'm talking about? It's like Elias.
I don't think so.
Oh, he's up there. He's one of like the top tier guys.
Yeah, you see it.
But yeah, he just has a really crazy last name. And then there's other artists. I mean, like I know Jesse Witchman. Sounds like an easy enough like last name to pronounce, but so many people pronounce it differently and in different ways.
Yeah, when I first read his name, I pronounced it as Wickman.
I have some pieces by him, but I don't think I have ever watched him live or know him like as Facebook friend level. I've seen his work. It starts with his last name starts with C. It's like I think I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, Steph just spelled his last name.
Yes, that's it right there. Chat.
There you go. Now pronounce it.
Yeah, I don't know much about that artist.
He's quite
so
good.
new, but the work that we've seen, because we printed some of it, he's really awesome. He's a really good artist. Very skilled.
So earlier
on the live stream. Mm-hmm. Here's to you.
So earlier you said there's a story behind that tapestry back there, and then you stopped. So was it something you were wanting to tell live?
All right, there's a couple. The story behind this one right here, we found it on Amazon for $10, and we bought it, and they shipped it to us. Holy shit! What? Story number 2. Wow, everybody's eardrums are exploded right now. I apologize, but all right. So the rock and roller covers that I do for my books. They're based on different bands that I'm a big fan of, obviously. The one over here that you can't quite see too well, that my fat ass is in the way. Hi, babe. Is this awkward? Anyways, that's a Merciful Fate. I did my issue 4 rock and roller edition based off of one of their album covers that's very similar to that one. It's not that one, but that was the story. So if you like King Diamond, I have a King Diamond rock and roller edition that you can buy on the Ayedee Studios shop if you'd like. He sings like this. He's in a very high voice.
That's still his daily. Please help me.
Blink twice if you're in danger.
And going back to this comment, so that is not even the worst thing I've ever done. So one time I hid in the closet for 40 minutes just because she was on the phone talking to her mom. I was in there getting a shirt and my clothes out because I had just gotten out of the shower, and she didn't even know I was still in the bedroom. And she come in there talking on the phone. So I just stood in there with the door partially cracked open, and I heard her coming down the stairs. So I shut the light off because I'm like, I'm going to scare the shit out of her. So she was literally she kept standing up, and I was like, come on, walk towards the closet. Because when she talks on the phone, she gets up and walks around and has to move. She never sits still. So she sits on the edge of the bed, and then she stands up. And then finally, after a half an hour, it was half hour, 45 minutes, she comes walking towards the closet, and I flung the door open, and I had like my one of my Halloween costumes, so I had a mask in there, so I had put that on. I jumped out, and I'm like, "Blah!" And literally, we had a queen size bed. She fell backwards and did a backflip over the bed and landed off on my side. I was dying laughing. And it's great too because I do it so often I scare her that now my son will do it. He'll hide in the bathroom and wait for her to walk by and just to jump out and scare her. It's great. So yeah,
tradition.
It's a family tradition, man. My dad used to be a prankster, and so I just picked up the trade, and now I've passed it on. So it's all good.
This is what happens when I try to do it. Roar! Anyways, moving on.
Yeah. So yeah, it's definitely awesome.
A little bit more effort than that. But
maybe masculine.
Like 10 minutes later, you're gonna try it again. She's just gonna look at you and just shake her head and go, "Come on, man."
No, we're gonna have a talk after the video. Where she's gonna point out everything I did wrong and tell me all the things that I should improve on and need to do better as a human being, which is basically fucking everything. So it's gonna be a really long conversation.
No, he's fine.
I'm just kidding. She's fucking amazing. The fact that she puts up with me in general is amazing. I'm living my best life right now. I'll say that. And it's because of her. That's not because of... Oh my god, my cup's empty. What do I do?
So outside of art and music, what other things do you love? Like, what else do you enjoy?
Outside of art and music? Crystal meth. I'm just kidding. No. I just want to say that nonchalant. I don't do drugs. Which is funny because everybody that looks at me thinks that I do drugs, and I don't do drugs. I don't even drink that much, except lately there's been like a slight uptick in my rum consumption. But other than that, like the things that I love, obviously you come third after art and music. I'm just kidding. You're up there, it's a crowd, it's a mix, whatever.
Now there really is going to be a talk. Now it's on.
I'm in trouble, guys. Help me! I'm digging my own grave.
Yeah, I mean that is also your colorist sitting there, so you better be nice to her. She's really gonna fuck with your book, man. The next one is gonna be just full of dicks, like where the Changeling should be. There's just gonna be like an 8-foot dick with legs and one eye.
I encourage it, but she just doesn't want to draw dicks in there. I don't know what's up. No, I mean like outside of it, I mean it sounds really cheesy, but like my day job is printing, and I don't look at it as philanthropy at all because people pay me money to get the product that they get from them versus me giving it away to them. And also, I'm not the guy that has the purse strings in the company, so I can't do that. But like my big thing is like helping other people out just however I can in whatever way I can. And even like in the stupidest ways, like not necessarily anything that like your life depends on, because there's better resources than being able to get anything like that from me. But like one of the things that I just got into recently is I build Raspberry Pi retro gaming kits now. I'm sure you saw me post about them recently, but like it's a stupid thing, but like it's something that like kind of takes the edge off like in these troubling times. There's some people that are like really... I've sold a couple already of them. Did a demo last night. Like I sold one to like Mike DeMalfo of all people. Like just doing things that other people go, "Whoa, that's awesome," and they respond to, and then it's something that kind of like enriches their life, even if it's like in a very fucking trivial way. I'm all about that. I grew up poor. I grew up trailer trash. I grew up, as a do-without kind of kid. Because of what I'm doing now with the Changeling, what I'm doing with my day job, and how everything is just kind of falling into place. I just feel like I'm kind of in a position now where I can kind of do the things that I've always kind of wanted to do, even if it's like for other people. Even if it's like, not in an essential way, but it's like just a dumbass way where it's like, hey, check this out. This might be something you might like. So I'm all about that lately. Other than that, really, traveling and eating. we do at least one of those quite a bit lately. um, I like to eat good food, so we like to make sure our Uber Eats bill is pretty contained as much as possible. But we like, kind of checking out the local flavor of our city. And really, that's it. I'm a pretty boring person. And
I don't think it's boring, man. The whole Raspberry Pi thing, those things are awesome. And, like we got a micro center in St. Louis that sells the Raspberry Pi kits. And I've always wanted to get one and tinker around with it. I just don't ever have time. But, those things are super cool with what you can do with them and building the game emulators. And I was loving it the other day when you were posting about the Bluetooth controllers that you got. So how did those end up working out for you? I know you posted that when you disconnect them and reconnect them, it kept your button mapping. So that's pretty cool.
So real quick, like I wish they were Bluetooth. They're all USB. Like I'm.
Oh, that's
I'm
right. They're USB. I'm sorry. I don't know why I said Bluetooth.
I'm happy with having cords. I care less about the fact that they're wireless or whatever. But
yeah.
For $35, I found a website that will send you 5 controllers, like a Sega Genesis, a Super Nintendo, a regular Nintendo, a Nintendo 64, and a PlayStation controller with USB input. And you can map the buttons to your RetroPie, which is kind of like my new jam lately. I keep saying it's to her chagrin, but she's actually cool with it. But I feel like I'm super annoying with it lately because it's literally consumed my life to some degree. Anyways, the controllers that they ship, or that I got, there's a 64 emulator, and I have the controller for a Nintendo 64, and I can map it perfectly to the 64 settings. So it's basically like I have a machine that has all the different video games that I had as a kid, and I have the corresponding controllers to be able to play them. For me, though, to touch on this, little thing I don't really talk about too much, but like cancer and coming back from it's really kind of fucked with my head, and I got a decent amount of memory loss. And one of the things that this helps me out with is it helps me not forget certain things that were part of my childhood. It's I played a lot of video games as a kid. It was escapism. It was what it was. So for me, it's building these kits. It's kind of like a cathartic way of not forgetting, who I was, where I came from. Kind of putting an extra layer of sentimentality on this shit.
Yeah, it helps you reminisce and remember your childhood.
Well, I'm honestly kind of worried just about how my memory is acting and how I see it acting in the future. So it's kind of a thing where if I was to leave a stamp or have people have gifts that they give people for door prizes and shit for certain events or whatever. For me, it'd just be I would build 1 million of these things for everybody and give them to them because they're cheap enough to do so. And it's hey, you can go fuck off and have fun and kind of reminisce about your childhood. And there's a connectivity there. So I know it's dumb kind of reminiscing about emulation. But for me, it's there's a deeper meaning with it. And that's pretty much that. It's just I just don't want to ever end up forgetting where I came from as a person. And this kind of is a cathartic way of keeping that alive in my head in case I ever do kind of forget or get to that point. I wish my head and my memory was. I'm sure in time, I'm just a few months out of remission.
It's gonna take time.
Over time, it'll get better, but right now, it's for me, this just feels like the right thing for me. And also, I mean, who the fuck doesn't want to have access to 10,000 games at their fingertips with their controller that matches the system? It's basically like a cheat code for time wasting. And especially in COVID times when you're locked down at home. For me, the gift of choice is better than anything else that you can ever have in the world, because having the option to choose amongst so much of something in a contained environment that you're unfortunately stuck to, it helps out. So I plan on building one of these, for my brother for Christmas. He's another cancer survivor as well. I'm gonna build one of these and like jazz it up, make it all fancy and shit, and give it to him as a Christmas gift. Like I said, I sold a couple already, selling a couple more. For me, it's genuinely, it's fun. It's like a hobby away from drawing, which I have a blast doing. But it's like, I don't know. For me, it's escapism a little bit. And I'm just enough of a nerd where I can actually enjoy building motherboards and putting them in cases and flashing drives and putting them in there and sending them out to the world.
Yeah, it's really fun.
So if you want a Raspberry Pi, hit me up because I'm building them. Make your life.
Yeah, I might have to hit you up. So like a long time ago, like back in 2004 when the original Xbox came out, they had a mod chip, and I bought a mod chip for the Xbox, and I put a 500 gigabyte hard drive in it, and I had it to where it had the emulator for regular Nintendo, Super Nintendo, N64, pretty much anything you could think of. And I had like you said, like 10,000 games on it. And then on my computer, I had a PlayStation emulator. And the best part about emulation, and I don't care what anybody says, I know it's not like playing the real game, but the best part about emulation is getting to play those titles that never released in the US. People do not understand how awesome some of the Japanese games are. Like for PlayStation 1, I found one of the coolest games I've ever found. And for the love of God, back in when I found the emulation for it, I tried to buy a copy of the game, and it was like $400 or $500 for a disc because that's how rare this game was. But I had the actual file to be able to play the game on the emulator on the computer, and I was like, "This game is freaking awesome!" And I had the little USB connector that had the PlayStation 1 controller ports on it, where I could hook up the PlayStation 1 controller, and it was awesome. I loved it until my computer broke. So. That's why I was talking about I wanted to get one of those kits because emulation is awesome just because you get to play those extra titles, not just the ones you had as a kid, but ones that you were like, hey, what's this? I've never heard of this before because they're cool as shit.
It's a trip down the rabbit hole, too. I mean, like for me, it was access. I grew up like in a very rural area as a kid. And, we didn't have like KB Toys, or we didn't have anything close by where I can like get like the newest games or whatever. I know Walmart had what they had, but 90% of it was shit that I didn't want to play. There's games like for the PlayStation, like for instance, like Iron Hunter, which is like it's really awesome shoot 'em up.
Yeah.
That very few people know about, but it's one of the funnest fucking games. Like when I play it, it's literally like it's going into a time machine back to 1998. My friend Dominic, he got me into like all the cool stuff as a kid.
See, that was one of the very first games that I played for the PlayStation was Iron Hander. It was one of the demos at Sears. Whenever I went into Sears, and I'll never forget it. I went upstairs when my dad would be downstairs looking at tools. I would go upstairs to the video game section. That was like back when they had what was the R Zone or whatever. They had the virtual reality headset, and I was like, "What's this?" And it was the PlayStation 1, and they had Iron Hander on there, and what was the other one? The one that was a fighting game.
Air Guys?
I think that might have been it. It had Iron Hander and that on there. It was like a demo disc with like a couple of different games. And I was like, oh, man, this is so awesome. So when I finally did get a PS1, because like you, when I grew up, my parents didn't have a lot of money. So like when I would get a PlayStation 1 when like the PS3 was out. And so you'd have to go to a used game store or somewhere to find games because most places wouldn't have games anymore. So that was one of the first titles that I sought out was that and Metal Gear Solid.
Well, the aftermarket for video games, though, is pretty insane. Like that Iron Hunter game, finding it like without the case and everything, it's probably no less than $100. However, like you can't take something like that and like, grade it, slab it, put it on your wall, or do whatever you do with it. Like, like the aftermarket for video games is different than like comic books. Like comic books is like, you find a Spider-Man 300 in the wild for like, like a certain price. You get lucky, you buy it. It's an exorbitant amount of money, but it's like, it's one of the sniper books that you wanted to get and you got it. And then you have like, proper signatory for it, like CGC or CBCS or whatever. Video games don't really have that, and the only thing that video games really have is like copyright and IP protection, which over time goes away, and that's why you see like nowadays there's so many like third party, like Nintendo 64, Super Nintendos, like all those retro arcades or whatever. The reason why they come up is because the licensing deals expired on all that stuff. So like, really, it means that the games that you buy are essentially worthless unless you own a physical copy that's like in perfect condition. Otherwise, there's not really much of a need to really have the disc and have everything in play. And see, like in the comic book world that we thrive in, it's not like you can get like a comic book without the cover and expect to make a mint selling that, because that book would be automatically disqualified. So like for me, video games are like escapism, but it's not necessarily the fact that I feel like I need to own the original titles. Like if there's games that like I legitimately fucking love and have to have, which unfortunately Hunter is one of them, there's not really like a need to really have to collect them like you would collect comic books. That's why like emulation is such a big thing. And really, like Grand Theft Auto 5, I think that game made like, I don't know, $7 billion. Billion dollars. There ain't no fucking comic book that touches that. And that pays for everybody. Like everybody got compensated for the overtime, everybody compensated for all that other stuff. Like that's all aftermarket pricing. That game's never gonna really be something that's gonna gem in price like a comic book would, or like a printed product would. So that's why, like, for me, like emulation is like the ultimate escapism, and it's not to take away from the hard work that people put into making the games. It's just a thing that like they ran their course. Games have been made and sold so many times over that now it's like 10 PlayStation games for $1 almost makes sense. Like just how back in the day 10 Image Comics #1 titles you could find in the dollar bin for $1 because they were 10-cent title books. It's the overabundance, and it's the fact that it's been shared with the world enough. So at this point, emulation to me is just something that's really awesome. It's really fun because you can get your hands dirty with it. You can kind of learn and almost kind of pick up a different trade just in learning how the coding and the modding and all the other stuff for the games actually works. And part of it's an educational experience. Like for me, I learned how to build these little fucking computer kits. Back in the day, I had my A+ computer technician certification where I can actually like go and build computers, and I was certified. And that was like 16 years ago, and of course that's grossly outdated now. But I picked up a new trade, just like learning how to build these little shitty kits and make them and put some cool shit on them. And there's music playing from it right now, and I got 10,000 games waiting for me whenever I want to play. And
that's right.
I want to be able to share that with the world, in addition to my artwork, in addition to her amazing artwork. So I just love sharing things, I guess. Anyways, I think I drove people away with that long monologue. I apologize. Thank you for sticking with me.
You're fine. People come and go because there's other shows and stuff that go on Sundays. You got Mark is live, and I think Creator Con's live. So they kind of bounce back and forth between shows. So you didn't drive anybody off. They're just show bouncing.
I'm just joking. I talk a lot.
Oh, no, me too, man. Trust me. When I went live with Tom Hutchison and Wendy and CB, and we all went live on a huge panel. It was funny. We got told we could have as much time as we wanted to, and like 4 hours later, we were told we needed to get off because we went too long. I was like, dude, don't tell me I have all the time in the world, because we will be here all night long. And and speaking of, people, somebody had mentioned about collecting original cartridges. That's like the original Super Mario Brothers, and still in the wrap. And I forgot what they called it. It wasn't shrink wrap. What the heck was it called? It sold for like over $1 million. And it was graded by whatever the grading company is that grades the Nintendo cartridges. I can't remember it. I seen them at C2E2. But it's insane what people will give for the original cartridges. And this one was actually still sealed in the original box in the wrap. And it was like the only one that they know that's known to man, still sealed in the box.
Yeah, it's nuts. There's a show that they do here. It's called a Level Game On Expo, but not because of COVID. But before all that shit happened, they had a video game convention. I've never gone to it. They've had it here for like 3 consecutive years. So I'm kind of kicking myself a little bit. But like, they'll take some of that cool stuff on tour. Like, they might actually have that shrink wrap Mario Brothers, so you can actually see like what it looks like, and you know, like to the layman hearing that, it's like, oh, it's just some shit in shrink wrap. That's cool. But it's like, nah, man, that's fucking history right there. But like, probably one of the coolest things that they do have as part of that show is they have the Super Nintendo PlayStation, which I'm not sure if you're familiar with or not, but like before, like Super Nintendo was going to release a CD-ROM based console based off the Super Nintendo, and Sony was the developer for the CD-ROM infrastructure. So it was called the PlayStation. They had an actual console built. They had a couple test games built for it. They had that as part of this Game On Expo. So you actually go and like see this shit in action. And yeah, I kind of kicked myself for missing it, but you know, I'm sure next year it'll be back around. But it's kind of cool, like seeing stuff like that, like in the history. Like, you know, with emulation, it's kind of the same deal. Like you were talking about, there's some Japanese games, and like there's you know, different games for different countries that are available. But then there's awesome some other cool stuff too. Like there was a sequel to Star Fox that was made on the Super Nintendo that I think if you got the mini Super Nintendo kit,
it came with it.
But besides that, like there's an actual functional ROM that I have of Star Fox 2 that you can play, straight up play the fucking game, and like you can see a piece of history that never made it out to the general public until recently. You know, it's really awesome.
It's crazy the amount. It's crazy the amount of games that get developed. I mean, there's some of them, like one of my, what is the name? Time Splitters. The company that made Time Splitters. That was one of the most fun games I have ever played. I bought Time Splitters 2, Time Splitters 3, and Time Splitters 4 went into development, and it was like almost complete, and the company got bought out by another developer. And that developer said that they were going to go ahead and continue, and they were going to release the game, and they never did. And it so bums me. Like, if there's ever like a release of the emulation for Time Splitters 4, I've got to get my hands on that. Or no, it's 5. I think it ended at 4, and it was 5 they were making. I don't know. It's been so long. But like every few years I go and I look, and there's like a petition of like, I think it's up to like 800,000 people that are like, you guys need to finish this game and release it on a console. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but it's hilarious. It's a total play on like GoldenEye and what's the other one?
I never played it so much, but like, you talk about like that, like Perfect Dark. Like it was like
Perfect Dark. That's the other one.
Yeah, it was like up there with like that royalty of first-person shooters on a home-based console. I never played Time Splitters, to be honest, but I definitely have seen like people position for it. It's just one of those things where it's a wait and see kind of thing. I'm sure in X amount of years somebody has the code sitting on some kind of, you know, junk computer they got somewhere, and then they're just going to release it out to the public, and they'll disseminate it, put it together, and make it happen. And then there'll be a Time Splitters 5 project website where they'll actually finish the game. Like, you know, like they do a lot of that lately. Like there's a lot of like, you know, junior coders that like get their teeth, or they cut their teeth, where they actually go and like finish games like that weren't finished by the establishment, you know, for fun versus a paycheck. And it's kind of cool, like seeing like what they do to actually kind of take stuff to the finish line. So that could be one of those projects, like, you know, a couple of years from now. We'll see.
Hey, that'd be awesome. I'd be down for it. That's one thing I love to do on the side. Like you start talking about video games, and it's like it's all over after that, because I still have I've kept my NES, my Super Nintendo, my Nintendo 64. They're all in bags and Rubbermaid totes downstairs, and like every once in a while I'll bust out like the Super Nintendo and we'll play Donkey Kong Country, or you know, I'll bust out the N64 and we'll play Perfect Dark, because I even have the upgrade chip that you can put in there. I forgot what it was called.
expansion pack.
The memory expanders where you could play all the stuff on Perfect Dark. Like Perfect Dark was a lot of fun. They had some really crazy ass guns in there.
I know that was like the heir to the throne of GoldenEye. Like GoldenEye was like the perfect first-person shooter, but Perfect Dark is the same game, just with the fucking skin on it, pretty much.
Yep.
So, funny.
And the ever famous Super Smash Brothers. I can never get enough of that game, man. Super Smash Brothers is the shit.
Oh, speaking of that, we were playing some of that earlier.
Yeah.
On the Raspberry Pi as well.
Yeah, she's a big Smash Brothers fan. Yeah, like a lot of the video games fun. I know it's kind of an off topic versus the comic book world, but fans gonna be fans of what fans be fans of. And especially like it being a side project versus the comic book world. Like it's hard to meet somebody that's into comic books that wouldn't be into video games. Yeah, so it's a fun. It's fun pairing there, so to speak. Brain's running out.
Well, I guess we better wrap this up. We've been going for a little over 2 hours, and I know you guys probably got dinner to get to, and I got to get to bed for work tomorrow.
I'm just kidding. I don't smoke crystal meth. Guys, I don't smoke crystal meth. See this? I was a dare kid at school.
Dare.
You know about dare. Drugs
so
are really...
I will post the link for the Kickstarter in the chat here. You guys definitely need to check out this project. And Anthony, Anastasia, I will give you, Antonio, I will give you the full screen here if you want to tell people where they can find you.
All right, so Ayedee Studio on Facebook. That's our main social media hub. Every Friday we host Ayedee Studio Friday Nitro. And it's our live sale where we do a bunch of crazy, unprecedented stuff in the live sale world. We try to jazz up the usual, oh, here's a book, here's a book, here's a book. No, we make it interesting. We had a bunch of cool stuff there. Anastasia is the camera woman, and also she has her beautiful work featured in there as well, in addition to my Changeling stuff. You can find us on Facebook, Ayedee Studio. For the Kickstarter, feel free to search the words Hell Awaits, because that's the name of this campaign, the Changeling Hell Awaits on Kickstarter. Follow us, fund us. We got covers by Marat Michaels, Dan Mendoza, Ryan Kincaid, this beautiful lady, Anastasia Still Smoking, Alfred Trujillo, Karen Nicole, David Harrigan, Stef Wilson, and some asshole named Anthony Delaney, but we won't talk about that guy. We'll leave that for the future or whatever. So you guys can find us there on Kickstarter. You can find us on Facebook, Ayedee Studio. I'm also Antonio D on Facebook. If you want to get a little bit personal and don't want to go through the Facebook page. That's where we are in the world of the internet.
Yeah, you can find me and some of my original art or at Still Smoking Art, or you can just add me at Anastasia Still Smoking on Facebook. I guess that's my last name. It wasn't something I made up, I promise. But
that is her real name. Anastasia is Still Smoking.
But yeah, that's where you can find me.
Hey, as long as it's not still smoking crystal meth.
Yeah.
I don't know what to say to that. I don't smoke meth. Guys, I don't smoke crystal meth. Stop accusing me.
Hey, I'm not the one that brought it up, man.
Guys.
Hey. Well, it was great having you guys on tonight. It was really happy to have you on. I'm really excited about your guys' Kickstarter. I hope you're able to break that $10,000 mark and get that ash can and go beyond. So hopefully anybody watching this back, definitely check these folks out. They got some great projects, some great art, and they're all around great people. So I'm glad to have you guys on.
Guys, I'm fucking amazing. I'm the best thing that you will ever add on your Facebook page. And her too.
He's kidding.
I'm fucking amazing, guys. I'm just kidding. I'm all right. Add me if you want. Add that guy. Add that guy. He's cool. He's a good dude.
Yeah.
Am I doing this right?
Yes.
I'm pointing to air right now.
Yeah.
There we go. Anyways,
I do it every time. I've been doing this for like 6 months now, and I still point there. Hey, I did it right the first time. I still do it all the time. So
the stage right. However that shit works.
Anyways.
However this shit works.
Thanks so
Well,
much
if
for
you guys
having
want
us
to hang
on.
out in the green room for a minute, I'm going to kick you guys off to the side. I'm going to shut this down, and I'll be back to talk to you for a few minutes.
There's a green room? Is there like drinks and shit?
Yeah, there's
in
a
there?
green room. There's cookies back there. They're hot and fresh.
You're a fucking liar. There ain't no cookies back there. All right, we'll make cookies later.
All right. Thank
Standing
you so
by.
much. Thank you for having me.
Stand by. Have a good night, guys. Well, guys, that was a great show. Had a lot of fun. Talked about some cool shit. A great project. Some great people. Check them out. Anastasia, Still Smoking Art. And then you got Ayedee Studios. And definitely check them out. I had a great show. It was a great time. You guys are a great crowd. And definitely, too, anybody that has any printing needs, check out artistexpress.net. .net, not .com, .net. Artistexpress.net. The link's in there later on. I'll add it into the link in the top of the show later on. I'll edit it and add it in there. So, again, thank you all for being here. Don't forget, I will have Xeno Nanite Titan launching next month. I'm shooting for November 17th. It's going to be awesome. When we fund, not if we fund, when we fund that bad boy, make sure you get you a Stef Wilson Comic Book for Kids t-shirt. I won't give you the long spiel about it, but I am raising funds with the t-shirt. After the book's funded, this will be an add-on. All funds made off of this t-shirt will go towards cb4k.org. It's a great charity. They send books to hospitals with kids with cancer, kids that are dying in the hospital that may never get to go home again. It gives them something to bring their spirits up. And I couldn't imagine a better organization to help with right now. So definitely thank you, Stef Wilson, for the art. It's beautiful. Get you guys a t-shirt. And as always, Russ Explode Studios, projects that'll blow your mind. You all have a great night.